Well, howdy! This podcast is a proud member of the PodCon Go network. PodCon Go, family-friendly shows that are fun for everyone.
Welcome to Elderberry Tales. Today's story is Tales of Maui, the Demi-God. Adapted by Elaine Lindy. These are short legend tales of the Demi-God Maui. It's part of the Classic Bedtime Stories for Kids collection at storiestogrowby.org. One day, Maui said to his 4 brothers, "Come fishing with me today. Let's go out to sea. The fish are much bigger and better there than they are close to land." "Okay," said his brothers. They were good fishermen and wanted those big fish. The 4 brothers and Maui jumped into their canoe and started to row. When they got far out to sea and could no longer see land, Maui jumped onto the end of the canoe. He drew out his magical fishing hook. When his brothers were looking ahead, he cast the hook over the side of the canoe. The hook sunk down deep into the blue water. Soon, the magical hook stuck fast to the bottom of the sea. Maui pulled the fishing line tight. He called out, "See that tug? I must have hooked a giant fish." "Wow, I see that," said one brother. "That is some fish you caught," said another. "My brothers," Maui called out, "paddle hard so we can bring up this great fish." The brothers paddled with all their might. They paddled so hard, they did not see that the hook was pulling up the land from the bottom of the sea. Behind them, one island after another rose from the sea. Legend says that is how Maui made the islands, where the people now live. Then, one day, Maui wanted to see how life was for the people who lived on the islands. But what he saw there made his heart skip a beat. Life was very hard for them, and he could see why. The days were just too short. There was not time in a day for people to do what they needed to do, like making and cooking food. If they laid out a wet blanket on the sand, the blanket would still be wet the next day. There was not even time for the fruit in the trees to get ripe. "It's that sun," said Maui. "He's racing too fast across the sky. He's not thinking about the people who live down below, on the islands." Maui knew that it was up to him, a demigod, to slow down the sun. But how? He asked his brothers. He asked his sister, Hina. He asked still others that he knew. "Who do you think you are, Maui?" said one. "No one can catch the sun." "Even if you are a demigod," said another, "you know very well the sun is too big and bright for anyone to stop." But Maui's sister, Hina, did not say these sorts of things. She cut off her long hair. She tied the hair into ropes and gave the ropes to Maui. From these ropes, Maui made a giant lasso. That night, Maui took his lasso up to the very tallest mountain on the islands of Hawaii. The mountain had once been an active volcano. Years ago, it had sent out waves of hot lava. When the volcano was over, a big crater was left at the top of the mountain. And that crater is where Maui planned to catch the sun. By the crater, Maui waited, very still. He hid the lasso behind him, out of view. When the sun rose at dawn, it started to race across the sky very fast. Soon that sun was flying over the mountaintop. Brave Maui flung the lasso over his head. The ropes caught. The sun tried and tried to move, but it was trapped. "Get me out of here!" shouted the sun. "Not yet," said Maui. "You are moving too fast across the sky. It makes the days too short for the humans who live down below." "So, I like to go fast," said the sun. "Who cares? Let me out of here." "No," said Maui in a big voice. "I care. You have to stay here in this crater." He pulled the lasso tight. But in his heart, Maui did not feel brave. He did not know how much longer he could hold on. True, his lasso was stronger than all the other rope in the land, but he didn't know how long even a lasso made from his sister's hair could last before the hot rays of the sun would burn it up. The sun tried to move again, but could not. "Oh, very well," the sun said at last. You can be sure Maui was very glad to hear that. "I suppose I could slow down a little," said the sun, "but only for part of the year." So Maui and the sun worked out a deal. For half the year, the sun would move at a slow pace. Those days would be long, and that would be the summer. For the other half of the year, the sun could run as fast as it wanted to. Those days would be short, and that would be the winter. This is how Maui made the days longer for the people of the islands. At last they could do the tasks they needed. They could have a full dinner and rest after. And the fruits on the trees grew big and sweet. Here where I live. Just as I'm publishing this episode for you, this is the moment in the year where the days are as long as they possibly can be. This is midsummer, the height of summer, the summer solstice, where the days are long, 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 and the nights are short. The days are so long that the sun is up long before I wake up. And it stays up until after my children have gone to bed. The nights are dark, but short and sweet. This is the perfect time of year for all of the plants to soak up as much sunlight as they possibly can. And they will give that energy to us in the form of their fruit, grains, seeds, nuts, and goodness. It's a pretty good deal that Maui made with the sun. I love these long days. And then, in the fall and winter, I'll be ready for them to get shorter and darker. And then I'll look forward to the sweetness of summer again. This adaptation of the Legends of Maui was put together by Elaine L. Lindy for the website Stories to Grow By. If you visit storiestogrowby.org, you'll find not only this story, but dozens and dozens of other folk tales, fairy tales, legends, and bedtime stories. Thanks again to the team at Stories to Grow By for making this story and so many others available for me to share with you. And thanks to you for listening to Elderberry Tales. Enjoy the sun, and I'll see you next week.